Democrats are really capitalizing politically after the unrest in Charlottesville. Look at this. Dem to introduce bill forcing Pentagon to change Confederate base and street names. Okay, so let me be clear about this. Am I in favor of it? Yes. Because I didn't know this until this week, but apparently all the Confederate statues and everything that honors Confederates, it wasn't actually done like after the war to say, hey, my uncle died in this and let's, whatever, commemorate him. No. It was built in the Jim Crow era and then in the Civil Rights era, and it was done specifically to try to intimidate black people to say, hey, just so you know, we're still boss here. The white majority still is going to keep your ass in line. That was the whole point of the Confederate monuments. They were built during Jim Crow and during the Civil Rights Movement as a fuck you to the Civil Rights Movement and as a fuck you to black people back during the Jim Crow era, okay? So that's the history of it. That's why you have Robert E. Lee Day on the same day as Martin Luther King Jr. Day in many states. Because they were trying to say, yeah, we don't believe in that. We don't believe in Martin Luther King Jr. We believe in Robert E. Lee. So, yes, I think it's, who does that? We're going to name our shit in America after the people who were slave-owning traders. No! So, I'm not in favor of that. But having said that, to me, this is like so symbolic of the entire corporate democratic movement. So they're willing to be right on some issues, sure, especially on social issues, because there's no consequences for their donors. But, like, to them, after you rename the Confederate bases, let's go home and have a beer, we're done here, aren't we so moral and just? Well, no, because we still have 900 military bases around the world that cost $100 billion a year to maintain. We still have an empire. We have an empire. We're doing 7 interventions at once, including 2 full-scale wars. So your job's not done. You're not all of a sudden moral people when you change the names of our bases of death away from Confederate names. No, the real moral thing to do, yeah, change the names for the reasons I just outlined before, but also, hello, shut down like at least half the fucking bases if you want to be serious about being a moral human being. This is just the Democrats patting themselves on the back, like, oh, look at us, aren't we so high-minded and enlightened? No, not really. No, not. You know what this reminds me of? It's like when Democrats talk about how more Wall Street CEOs should be people of color. So, diversity, good. Hey, we love all kinds of people. Look at us hold hands and sing Kumbaya. But the root of the problem is not the lack of diversity on Wall Street. The root of the problem is Wall Street. Tax them. Regulate them. Stop letting them rig the system against the average person. But for the corporate Democrats, oh, aren't I such a good person? I just increased the people of color on Wall Street. Aren't I such a good person? See, I believe in diversity. But you also apparently believe in letting Wall Street rip everybody off and buy the government and control policy. So it's McLiberalism. That's what this is. It's McLiberalism. It's the path of least resistance. It's the brownie points approach. It's addressing a problem, but a smaller problem, and not addressing the fundamental problems. That's why this gets under my skin. Not because it's the wrong thing to do, but because it's a distraction from all the issues that are way more important issues where we need them to focus, but they never would because they don't want to piss off their donors.